All right, injuries for today. Not practicing will be D Ford, DJ Jones, Richard Sherman, Tart, Julian Taylor, and K1.
Do you plan to open the practice window for any of the IR guys?
No one knew this week. No.
And where is Street? How do you feel about his possibility?
He's got a chance to get up this week.
Are you optimistic about DJ Jones and his ankle?
Not really. I'm a little worried about it. We're waiting on some other opinions and stuff, but it's a pretty significant one.
If you're without him and Taylor, who slides in at nose tackle?
That's why Street would have a chance to get up this week. You got Sheldon who can do it. You got Solomon who can do it. Got all our guys on the inside who can do it. You know, Armstead, Buck.
Talk about a significant injury. Could that be season-ending?
Yes, possibly. Yep.
He aggravated the same injury Sunday?
It was a different ankle. Yeah, different ankle.
When you look at your experience in Atlanta, what did you gain from that experience there, and how much of your memories that are shaded by the last game you had?
Not at all. I mean, I loved my time in Atlanta. Loved the people I was there with. You know, went there at a tough time in my career, and just the two previous places I'd been, and went with a head coach that I hadn't known, just talking to him on the phone and stuff, where we developed a real good relationship. Didn't know a lot of guys there, but got to know Dan over the phone. You know, the first day I met him was the day after the Super Bowl, when Seattle lost to New England. I was already sitting there in the office, so I met him that Monday in person. I always thought he was going to be a great guy on the phone, and then after being able to spend 2 years there with him, learned a lot from him, and it was good to be in a good place like that, and really enjoyed the players too.
Do you think that this offense is at all approaching what you did in 16 there?
I mean, I think we have signs of it, but I mean, what we did there in 16 was pretty special. I mean, just from the first game to the last game, you know, it was all year. There was really no let up in that. I think we had one game where we were under 20, which I think was at Philly. But besides that, I mean, everyone was just moving pretty good that year consistently, and I think we've shown signs of potential of that this year, and hopefully we can get there week in and week out.
When you left Cleveland, was it specifically to go to Atlanta or just to open your door to possibilities?
I was specifically hoping to go to Atlanta, but that, I mean, you know, that was, Dan still had another 5 weeks, you know, going through their playoff run, their bye week to Super Bowl. I knew that, talking to him, that it would be a chance if he did end up taking a job and stuff, but, you know, he turned one down the year before. So it's, you know, sitting there without a job, it wasn't like I was just totally set and confident that was going to happen, but I was definitely hoping it would.
So just what about his style did you think, I want to, you know, kind of attach myself to him?
Just watching the defense that he ran. I really wanted to be with a defensive coach like that. Also, we had a bunch of mutual friends, guys who had worked together, so I had heard a lot about him as a person, and I think he had about me too. And just from what I had heard, I really was intrigued with him as a person. And then just talking to him on the phone and not knowing him that well, but or ever meeting him before in person, but just seeing the loyalty he had and the type of person he was on the phone and everything made it a guy that I really wanted to go work for. And you know, I waited all the way till after the Super Bowl and had a couple other opportunities that were pretty good ones also that were really tough for my wife and I to decide. But the decision was Dan, and just how loyal he was to me from the beginning, and I wasn't going to change that in those 4 stressful weeks I didn't have a job waiting for one.
How familiar is the Falcons defense now, Kyle, as opposed to when you were there?
I mean, they got a bunch of they got some players that were still left over, definitely some coaches, and I mean, just like ours, we all come from the same foundation and where we started with the fronts and coverages. But just like all the places who started running Seattle scheme, they've adjusted year by year. Different personalities come in the building and they tweak it a little bit. So there's little differences and stuff, but you can tell where we've all come from, and that's all of our base defense.
So your respect for the Seattle defense came before you even got to Atlanta?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, just playing against it and having a coach against it, and just the different types of philosophies and coverages and fronts, and lots of different ones. And they all are tough when you're going against good players and stuff, but what ones do you think are the toughest?
Did it ever factor in that the closer you are to a team that runs that defense can help you out down the road?
Yes. Obviously. No, I mean, that's why I wanted to go to a place like that as a coordinator, and that's why when I became a head coach, I was hoping to get someone who knew that type of defense and also knew how to expand it.
What were some of the things you took from your experience there that has helped you?
I liked, I think Dan and I were a little bit different personality-wise. He was always very upbeat and always positive, and I was just always focused in on being a coordinator and whatever the task at hand was totally. And it was cool to watch him and be in a building like that, just to watch him run his team meetings, involve everyone, how entertaining they were, how loose he kept guys, how he communicated with everybody. I loved how he involved the Navy SEALs in what he did. He involved a lot of boxing stuff in what he did, things that I've taken also that weren't that big of a deal to me before I was with Dan, but I saw how cool it was for him, and I really gravitated to it, saw the players did, and I've used it here. And just the type of person he was, day in and day out, no matter what was going on.
Did you have Navy SEALs on this trip?
What's that?
Did you have a Navy SEAL on this trip with you?
Yeah, they usually come to most of the games. Yeah, they usually, I want to say they come to everyone. They might have missed a couple, but no, they're usually at everyone.
Kyle, this is probably not at the top of the list of things you do or think about, but do you ever have a chance to take a moment to reflect on how far you guys have come since last season, where you're at now?
No, not yet. Hopefully I'll enjoy doing that after the year, if it ends the right way. But if I start doing that now, I have a feeling I won't enjoy this year very much and how it ends. So once you start thinking about that, it's over. So you're as always good as your last game or as good as the next one coming up. So we got to make sure we take care of Atlanta this week.
Sorry I brought it up.
It's all right. Just don't ever do it again. No.
Kyle, you've mentioned the defensive line dominating in those OTAs, and we saw it in training camp. I mean, was it really remarkable to just to see that happen to your offense?
Definitely. I mean, that's what the goal was. I mean, you watch some of these teams just over the years, going back to I mean, it started for me and with my age, just watching Baltimore in the Super Bowl. I think in what was that? 2000 or 2003, something like that. You watch when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl with their D-line. You watch when Chicago got there with their D-line. You watch when Indy was finally able to get over the hump with what they had with their D-line, with Freeney and Mathis and stuff. And you watch Denver, who had the best offense in the history of the NFL at the time, and how much they struggled versus Seattle. And then the next time Denver went, and they didn't have a very good offense, but they had an unbelievable pass rush with Von Miller and stuff, and that was when they were able to win it the last year with Peyton. So I think that's the stuff that I've watched over my life, that the teams that have a chance, no matter what the situation is, are the ones with the D-lines. And if not, you're always trying to get that big offense and not turn it over and stuff like that. But if you got a pass rush, I at least know from an offensive coordinator standpoint, if you can't handle the pass rush, it doesn't matter what's behind it. I mean, I sensed it as soon as, well, with what we had here, and as soon as we were able to get that trade for D Ford, and as soon as Bosa didn't go first, we knew what we had. Well, we hoped it would look that way, and it did. And then we were really just trying to make sure they stayed healthy, and we've been able to do it for the most part. I know we've been banged up here the last few weeks, and it is a little bit of a trickle-down effect with the guys, but hopefully we're getting our legs back a little bit. We're going to have to walk through today and stuff, take care of our guys, but when they're going, they're very tough to deal with.
Where do you think Jimmy's made strides within these last couple of months as opposed to the first handful of games during the season coming off the knee injury?
I mean, I think he's continued to make big throws and stuff. But he's obviously eliminated some of the turnovers, which I think is huge. Sometimes when guys make a bunch of big plays and turnovers, the only way to get them to eliminate the turnovers is to stop trying to make those big plays. And I don't think Jimmy has done that. I think he's continued to make big plays, maybe even made more of them. And the turnovers have gone way down, which has been a huge step in the right direction.
So how much has the evolution of Debo, obviously adding Emmanuel, how much has that impacted what Jimmy's been able to do?
A ton. I mean, the better those guys are, the more consistent those guys are, the easier it makes his job also. Same thing with the O-line and the running game, too. Getting Kittle back has helped. It's not just the pass game. I think our run game has been better these last couple of weeks and stuff, and when you do that, it gives the quarterback a lot better looks and better protection in the pass game. So it's been a little bit of everyone.
When you look at the wins Atlanta's had over the last couple weeks, what stands out to you about their personnel and the way that they've played? I mean, they're playing hard. You can tell. They battled injuries all year, and I think they've got a couple guys back, which has helped. But I think they've won 3 out of their last 5 games. I think their defense is playing a lot better. I think they've had
there was some stat I was looking at. They have like 4 sacks in their 9 losses, but they have 18 sacks in their 4 wins, and 3 of those have come in the last 5 weeks. They've got, I think, 8 turnovers, but only 2 in their 9 losses. I mean, they've really started playing a lot, very aggressive, playing with nothing to lose, and it's really made a lot more opportunities for the offense too.
What has Jimmy done to, like you said, still make the big plays and not turn it over? What has he done, either mindset-wise or just work?
Just work. I mean, there's no conscious decision you make. It's being out there more, and the more you're out there and the more situations you go through, good or bad, it's how you're going to react to them. What are you going to learn from them? Some people, the more they're out there, the more nervous they get, and they go into a shell and just get worse. But Jimmy, no matter whether a good thing or bad thing happens to him, I feel it's made him better each week. He learns from it. He doesn't overanalyze it and freak out about it. He just learns from it, files it in the bank, and then goes to the next week and tries to keep stacking them up.
What has the trickle-down effect of the injuries on the defensive line been? What have you seen?
I mean, just guys' reps go up a lot more. You know, I mean, I don't even know the numbers, but I'm sure you guys could look. I'm sure you guys do. I mean, the more guys are out, the more guys have to play, and the more that guys play, just the more they get tired. So, I mean, you want your best guys out there the most, but there also is a reason we rotate, because when D linemen are coming off the ball and going, and O linemen, they don't rotate. I mean, they're very hard to deal with.
Unintended consequence of, obviously you want to score quick, but you guys were scoring like 1-2 plays there in the first half. Did that make the defense more tired?
Yeah, it doesn't help. I mean, when they were having those drives, and then we would, you want to give them a rest, but you never want to apologize for scoring too fast. But it definitely, if you had your choice, you'd rather take some time and give those guys time to recover, which they kind of needed in that game.
Touchdown, the run on the middle. I know you guys have had a ton of success running to the edges. Does that open up? Does that get the safeties a little bit wider? I guess sometimes because they have to respect that, so his speed can.
Not necessarily in that case. I mean, that's just cover 2. They got to back up the clouds and stuff down the sidelines. But you know, I think in that, when you have like a Tampa 2 look and the mic's over the top and everything, we ran an outside zone play like 5 plays before that where the mic's unblocked, and he went to go meet Raheem there, and Raheem just is so fast, and it surprised him that he thought he had an angle, and Raheem just outran him, and for 15 yards untouched. And then you get a similar look like that where he's unblocked again, and so he runs a little bit harder, but it's a gap scheme and it's inside, and so he overruns it, and then Raheem can go inside just right into the end zone. So I think we blocked it well in the play, but I think it was Raheem's speed on the outside zone play earlier that kind of panicked the linebacker a little bit and made him overrun the next power scheme.
Patrick Bourne has mentioned that you have cussed him out at certain times. Can you talk about just how to keep him focused and what his evolution has been?
Yeah, Bourne's a funny guy. He reminds me a lot of my son, who's 9. I don't mean that as an insult. Kind of. I'm good with Bourne, so he should be all right on it. I mean, Bourne is, when you sit there and get on him, he still sits there and smiles at you. And at first, it used to drive me crazy, because it's like, are you not bothered by it? And no, he is. He's trying his hardest. He's trying to go out there, but he really loves to play football, and I think you guys can see how he plays in that. And sometimes I think that can get taken the wrong way, as in terms of he's not locked in and detailed on it, and he is. He works at it all week. He has a lot of fun out there, which sometimes he will make some mistakes, but I also think it's kind of his gift and his curse. It's also why he's never freaking out there either. I mean, he is loose, and the game is not too big for him, no matter what the situation is. And sometimes I'm glad he doesn't know how big this moment is, because he looks fearless as can be. And so you got to deal with that stuff a lot. And but sometimes you got to make a point, and if you really want him to lock in, sometimes you got to make it a little bit personal, and usually then he locks in, always still with a smile, which I've gotten used to. But usually they remember those, and I only have to do it a couple times, but usually when you do, he doesn't forget about it.
What's unique to you about Matt Ryan? What does he do well?
Matt's one of the best quarterbacks in our league, and he's been it for a long time, since he came in this league, playing as a rookie all the way up till now. He's obviously a very talented guy, being, I think, the 3rd pick in the draft. But how tough he is, how good of a thrower he is, how well he can stay in that pocket. If you do not get to him, and he will pick you apart, just like the guy did to us last week with Drew. You have to get to him, and you have to guard his guys, and that's why when he has some receivers, which he seems to usually do, and you give him just a one hitch, that's why he has his numbers year in and year out.
Matt Ryan and McGlinchey obviously are cousins. Would you guess that there's a relation there? It strikes me that maybe Ryan is a little more, comes off as more intense, or no?
No, they're almost like the same guy. I mean, one's an old lineman and his whole life, and one's been a quarterback his whole life. So, like, that is a different personality to a degree, but I knew Matt Ryan had a cousin in the draft, and when I went to Indy, I'm not ready yet. I'm just soaking it all in, but I knew he had a cousin, and McGlinchey came in, and I didn't know it was him, and just the way he came in, introduced himself to everyone in the room, the way he sat down and talked, I right then I was like, man, this guy reminds me of Matt Ryan. And then I looked down at my notes that we get from everyone, and it says it's his cousin and stuff. And I always joke with them. They're both CEOs. Like right when they walk in a room, they know everyone's name. They know how to handle themselves, and that's where they've been. I mean, they're very similar to me. They come from good families. They've been raised the right way, and they both love football, and they are both extremely intense.
Armstead and Buckner on the field goal team. Their option, does it seem a little weird to you to have those two guys blocking for field goals?
No, we want big guys with long arms, and so you need those guys out there. So, I mean, it's hard to protect on that. You don't have to do it very long, but you get some fast guys off the edge where you need some long arms, and you get some big guys up the middle, so you need some size there. And you get O linemen there a lot, but sometimes D linemen are the best at it.
All right, thanks. We got Jimmy coming in.
Thanks, guys.